There was a strange apartment in the apartment building where I was renting. Although this apartment was in the high-end segment, the rental price was very cheap. The current owner of the apartment was a young female office worker. She lived in an apartment alone and had only recently moved here. Until one day the girl was about to go to bed after a long day of working outside when she encountered a scary and strange thing right in her apartment. At that time, she was standing in the bathroom and looking in the mirror when suddenly, outside the door, there was a shadow of another girl with long, flowing hair looking at her from outside. The female office worker, the owner of the apartment, did not have time to understand what was happening when suddenly this woman moved quickly and rushed through the door. The young girl thought that a stranger had broken into her apartment, so she immediately ran out to check. When she went out, the hallway outside had become strangely cold and gloomy. The girl came from the bathroom and looked in the direction the strange woman had just passed. That woman also knew that the girl had seen her. She stood still, her back to the inside with a very mysterious gesture. Then, slowly the woman turned back. She looked monstrous, her eyes bloodshot like the devil, her skin pale and pale like a dead person. She looked at the girl with a devilish smile. The horror didn't stop there. This strange woman suddenly greeted the girl. The horror image in front of the girl made her bewildered. Knowing she had encountered something she couldn't have met, the girl could only explain in panic. Her screams echoed throughout the apartment block. But when they heard the screams coming from this apartment, no one who lived in the building dared to go to the apartment to check and act like they didn't know anything. The following day, the girl went to the building's management office to narrate everything that happened the previous night. After the young employee heard the story, he felt that this girl was just hallucinating, so he apologized profusely and reassured the girl with a few idle sentences to finish the story. This young man's superficial attitude made the girl even angrier. She demanded that the management return her rent and deposit. After saying that, the girl hurriedly went out and returned to her apartment to pack up her luggage, prepared to move to another apartment to live in because she no longer dared to stay in this place. When the girl left, the young man felt strange. He went to his boss and asked him why every guest in that apartment said the apartment was haunted. The boss heard, then sighed. When he was calm, he confirmed to the young man that what the girl said was true. When the young man heard that, he became more and more curious, asking his boss the beginning and the end of the story. After listening to this, the manager also slowly recalled and told the employee who had just come in to hear the story that had happened in this apartment. He said that the apartment was haunted by a case that happened nearly 10 years ago. At that time, the whole building was the most famous luxury apartment project in the city. In the same haunted apartment, its previous owner was a woman named Wing. She rented this apartment to live alone. Occasionally, her lover would visit and sleep over. Her affair was a wealthy but married businessman. The two had a long-standing affair because Wing's fiancé settled in the US and would welcome her to live there next year. Wing loved this mistress very much, but in the man's heart, Wing was just a stupid girl and had a lot of money. His purpose in approaching Wing was to extract her money. On the contrary, Wing was infatuated with the handsomeness and style of her lover. She determined to serve him to the end. That time, like so many other times before, he asked Wing for money under the pretense of investing in a business project. She waited until the lover was gone, then took out her phone and called her fiancé to ask for money. It was not the first time Wing had asked for money from her fiancé to give it to her lover. Every time she came up with compelling reasons, One day, Wing was asking for money from her fiancé as usual with the excuse to send it back to her family when suddenly disaster struck. It was around noon. The whole building was empty of people. No one noticed what was around them. Wing was sitting in the house talking on the phone when suddenly the doorbell rang. Curious, she turned off the phone and went out to check it out. Wing looked through the small window on the door, and outside was a middle-aged man, said to be the building management. Wing didn't think anything of it, opened the door, and invited the man inside with a carefree attitude. Unexpectedly, the door just opened. The man's arm pushed inside, making Wing suddenly unable to react. Two men suddenly burst into Wing's apartment, including her fiancé. He directly slapped her like hell and then blamed her for cheating on him. Wing then fell to the ground, powerless to resist. Her fiancé and his friend took her to her bedroom and assaulted her. Wing held the phone in one hand to call her lover and repeatedly plead with the other two men to spare her life. But her fiancé refused to agree to forgive her. He said he had to take revenge on her today. Both men walked in front of Wing. Wing screamed for help, but no one around could hear her screams. Her fiancé rushed over, grabbed Wing's hair, put her on the bed, and then with his friend did an act of debauchery with her. Wing screamed in pain and despair. Outside, her lover had also been standing there before, but he did not dare to enter because of his cowardice. He stood trembling in shock at the door and did not dare to shout for fear of being implicated. After a while of ideological struggle, Wing's lover also decided to leave the apartment, running straight out as if he didn't know anything. When her lover ran away, Wing's voice also stopped. The whole room fell into silence. Then two men from the apartment also came out. Wing was raped by both men and then strangled to death with a belt. Her body lay on the ground motionless, looking very pitiful. Wing's body lay there until the evening without anyone around or knowing what had happened. In the middle of the night, the lover decided to return to Wing's apartment by way of the balcony to get his phone back, and not wanting to be involved in Wing's affairs. He climbed through the window and went straight into Wing's bedroom. At that time, he did not know that Wing was already dead, so he calmly went inside. But when he got there, the lights of the apartment were turned off. He thought he could safely leave this troubled woman. He went to the kitchen first to check, but overall everything was neat and undisturbed. Then he sneaked into the bedroom, alone. In the darkness, he saw Wing lying dead on the ground, but his face showed no trace of panic. He searched the room in hopes of finding his phone quickly, and then left the scene before becoming a suspect in a murder. But before he could find his phone, he heard a cold breath behind him. And Wing's voice calling to him began to resound with hatred. He unconsciously turned back to check and saw that Wing had turned into a ghost with bloodshot eyes, her mouth constantly rebuking him for abandoning her. Her face revealed a terrifying horror. She cursed her lover to the fullest, scolded him severely, and forced him to stay with her forever. A moment later, in front of the betrayed mistress was a dark night. He screamed in terror and then turned into a madman. He found a chair in the house and prepared himself a noose on high, and then committed suicide. The bodies of both were found only when they were in a state of decomposition, emitting a stench. The case had not yet caught the main culprit. Since then, the souls of both had been trapped in the apartment, causing many tenants to move elsewhere. Some say they encountered a girl's spirit with a look of hatred. Others say they encountered a man. The story ends in the young man's panic. Later, the apartment was also locked and sealed, not allowing anyone to enter it ever again.